Hello ma'am, so this is my presentation for the additional activity to add the CRUD functionalities to the um, previous attendance student system. So here we have the student list, the one that we had before. As you can see, there's a bunch of new links, or I guess buttons. So here we have view student, we have add student, and then we have back home. So this was already shown previously, so I will skip that. So here we have view student. So as you click, when I click on it, here you can see the different information that wasn't shown through the list. So here we have the name, the ID, the year level, and the college. So aside from going back to the student list, here we have update student and delete student. I'll show that once I showcase the add student. So here you can just add a student. So let's say test, and then one test, and then one. So once you click on confirm, as you can see, there's a new entry within the list. So let's actually view the student, and then you can see the different details that I inputted. So let's actually update it. Let's actually give it an actual name. So let's say this is Edith. They are a third year, and then let's say CCS. Their school ID would be confirm. So once you click on confirm, as you can see, there's actually a new entry. And then if you click on delete, click yes, and she disappears from the list. So that's it. So let's actually move on to the code. So as you can see, there's a bunch of new different HTML files, as well as a new forms.py. But first, I want to go through some of the minor changes. So first, for the models, I just added a string function. So this is just unnecessary, but it's for one of the things in the .py file, and then for urls.py, so we simply added a bunch of different URLs based off the new HTML files that we had in the app folder. So that's it. And then for the forms, so this is new. So here we have import model form, and then we import all of the models from the models.py itself. So the reason why we have this is so that we can create forms. So in HTML we have a form, we can put in data, and then based on that input we send it to the server, and so on and so forth. And this is basically our way of replicating that. So here we have a class called add student form. So even though it's add student form, it's pretty much used for update student as well. And then under it we have class meta. So here's our metadata. So there's two fields, or there's two variables. There's the model, and then there's fields. Model essentially determines which model you're using. If you have if you have a big database with different models. And then for fields, it basically determines which variables you're using, or which fields you're using. So here we just have all, so basically everything within student. But if I were to use something else, I would remove this, and then just create a list. So just I would just create a list, and then as you can see in the boilerplate, it basically shows a idea of what it can be. So you can put in all of the different fields that you want. So you can have like a different student form that may only use, like, let's say you want to change the year, so you want to reassign them to a different college, so you can just have the college instead. So that's pretty much it for the form. So the reason why we use that is that we want to import it to views, because we're gonna be using it's gonna be our way to access the data, access the database through the IDE, or the VS Studio itself, without having to go to the terminal. So as you can see, there's a lot of new changes to the views.py. But I want to quickly go through the HTML before we go through views.py. So as this right here is a master template. So as you can see, there's a block title, there's end block, there's a content, and there's a block, another block, and another end block for content, and then there's just a generic styling. Here is the view student. So we're using this URL file. So here we have the URL to the base URL, and then any parameters that you want to pass through the URL. So here we have ID, and then for add student, and then delete student, and as well as update student right here. So um, as you can see, we have extends the master template, and then we simply add the content within it. So here there's just a regular title. There's a form method post. So we're gonna be posting data. We're gonna be posting data to the server, but as you can see, there is no action form, so it redirects to itself by default. And then we have a CRSF token. So that's there because we want to generate a token because it helps with security. So with the data that's being passed between server and client, the token helps like encrypt that data, and it's just a basic, or it's just a prepackaged security feature in the Django. And then we have this form. So I'll explain that in a bit. And then we have the submit, and then we have an RF to cancel it. Okay, so let's actually move on to views.py. So in views.py, we have four new functions. So we have add student, view student, delete student, and then update student. I'll start with view student. So for view student, we have request, and then we add an ID. So the reason why we add an ID is because the ID basically or well, not even the ID, the extra parameter is essentially for variables that you pass through the URL. So not only, so the request, it handles like the HTTP request. The ID here is, or the additional parameters for any data that we add through that we append through the URL and that we can use publicly. So as you can see right here with the view student, we have this ID. So essentially what we're doing is we're basically appending the ID variable into the URL itself. So this is how we're gonna access that. And here we have also get. So student objects, so the objects within student, and then we use get. So the function get, essentially it's similar to a SQL query where we declare a parameter, and then we equate a value to that parameter, and then it will search for a entry within that list of objects that has that parameter. So essentially just an SQL query. So in this case, let's say I query Alex, and then I put his ID within the URL, and then using the get function, it will look at the existing IDs within all of the objects, and then it will use the Alex ID, and then it will compare it until it finds an entry that has Alex's ID in the student objects, and then we can basically equate that entire instance of, or the instance of that object into student. And then you can use student. So with that string variable, we can just equate it to the entire thing, and we'll present the name. Here we can have student dot school ID dot year dot college to access the different attributes it has. So we're going to be using that for the display. So of course, and then we just send it through the request, through the render function. So that's pretty much, yeah. The delete and update also use that similar idea, except update has this add forum. So there's also something in add student. So add forum basically, this is our way of like creating an instance of the forum that we had within the forms.py. And so we have add forum. So the reason why we have this here, but we don't have what call that we don't have the same parameter within add student, is because in here we're just kind of querying all of the different student forms, while here we're specifically taking the information from a specific student instance. And so that's why we're taking the student, and then we put it here. So kind of a similar logic here. We're querying the exact table, and then you're using that table for the add student form. So we put that within the we put that within the render, and then it will basically process the HTML template. So as you can see here, back in add, there is forum. So the reason why the only thing that's written there is forum is that the Django automatically generates like the input fields that you would have normally in an HTML. So traditionally you would put like something like, let's say, uh, input, and then just something like this, like type hidden, name ID, stuff like that, or can be public, and then you use that as a way to like get user input. Apparently in the Django, you can just here, for example, here we have the student, like that model. We we equate it to a variable, and then in the context we have, we basically set the word form as this as same equivalence as the forum variable in this function. And if you just declare that variable, it will automatically generate the questions for you. So as here within this student list, here without even having to type each input field, it automatically has generated name, year, college, and school ID based off uh, the given the given the given fields within that model that you declared in model setPy. And the reason why we have the reason why we're querying the information from the student here is because the moment we add student form and we use that as a model, as you can see, it already pre adds the information, and then you can simply just change it. So it acts better as a update student, because if you just have it, if you don't have that information regularly, it will just be empty. So there's it's just an empty field. So the reason why we have this extra piece of code here, this if method, is, as I said, because there's no action, it will redirect to itself. And and if you noticed, most of the web pages are accessed through via link, and so there's actually no way to access the post instead, aside from submitting the forum, and then it redirecting to itself as it posts its own data. And so that is kind of our way of verifying the information that's given to us. So here we have request that method equal to post, and so if the user posts data, we can have forum equal to request that post. So kind of similar there, we're kind of filtering the information through just the using the information that's given to us through the student form. And then we have this form that's valid, so it basically checks if the information that was given to the form is valid, and it's actually properly working. And if it is valid, it will basically just save the information directly, and that's how it automatically updates the data in the database. And then after that, we just get redirected to a different screen or a different web page, and that's it. So that's pretty much it for the main like logic. The only other difference is for delete. We since we're not using forum, because as you can see, it's only a confirmation screen, so it's only a yes or no. So we kind of skip the whole querying for forum data, and so we just check for whether the user clicked yes, which would trigger would trigger the web page to post its date to send the post data. And because of that, it was basically our way of confirming to delete the student information from the database, and then we get redirected, and that's it. Thank you.